chart that's in the book. Okay? And again, it kind of stresses what I was talking about earlier. The reason I invert this, Bob Marriott of Marriott Hotels had this same sort of philosophy back in the 70s. He said the most important person in our business cycle is not the customer, which was really out there. The most important person in our business cycle is the person who greets the guest. So it could be the doorman, it could be the front desk clerk, it could be in housekeeping. Those are the people that are doing business with our customers every day and will determine what our style of service is and how good we are at what we're doing. So he kind of inverted his organizational chart as well. Each one of these positions, okay, should have a defined responsibility. And so therefore I passed out just some samples of job descriptions. Write this down, it might be on the test. The most important tool a manager has in working with labor and staffing is the job description. Why do I say that? Why is the job description the most important tool?
It's like a contract. Say like this is what you're responsible for.
It defines responsibility. That's good. It defines expectations. It defines duties. Okay? The reason it's the biggest and best tool is we're going to go through in just a few minutes. We're going to move on to action. And when we move on to action, we're going to talk about the staffing part and the personnel cycle. And so before you start recruiting people, what do you need to know?
Can they perform the...
What are their job duties? What am I looking for them to do? If you don't have a job description, it's going to be difficult to define that. If you're going to have an interview, what do you want to have in front of you?
You want to have, if you're going to a job interview,
No, if you're interviewing an employee,
you
a
want to
potential
have
employee,
in front of you so you can ask them if they...
you want to see if their skill set fits that job description. Okay? If you're training, one of the next steps in the cycle, what do you need? You need to go over responsibilities and duties to see if they can handle it. You're going to train them on how to do it. So the job description becomes one of the most important tools a manager will have in any business. So I passed out 2 sample job descriptions for you guys to hold on to. We're going to go over those real quick. Okay. So, job description format is typically pretty simple. What's the position title? Okay. In this particular case, I have the one that says bar manager. All right. Now, what we would want to do here is, if we had bar manager, who does the bar manager typically report to?
Food and beverage.
General manager or food and beverage director, if it's a hotel. Correct. Then we're going to list the general responsibilities. They're able to set up stations according to the management standards and guidelines. So what do they need? Standards and guidelines. They have to be able to prepare drinks, potions, cocktails, portions. Should be portions. As directed in a sanitary and timely manner. They have to follow recipes, portion control. They have to be able to restock items. They have to be able to maintain the right amount of stock in the bars. They have to be able to schedule staff. They have to be able to keep the area sanitary, so they have to be able to clean. Excuse me. They have to have an understanding and have experience in managing all the different types of equipment. What types of equipment do you have in a bar?
Tabs
Dishwasher,
and kegs, POS system,
POS system, dishwasher,
glasses.
Maybe a blender.
blender,
refrigerator.
refrigeration. Yeah, you got it. And then performs additional responsibilities as requested by either the theater manager or senior vice president of food service or owners, or we could put any other person in here. The next piece is, what are their duties? What are their skills? What are their qualifications? So that's what the job description is supposed to do. Up here you can see on the screen right now just some samples. These same things are in the book. I'm not going to waste your time reading the book for you. But typically a worker might be able to make hot dogs or measure portions and fill cups of popcorn. Responsibilities. They individually assign production, service, and sanitation tasks. They have responsibility of security of all cash. They have responsibility of sanitation in the work area. Safety. What are their duties? Again, pretty simple. Prepare for sale all food items. Be able to sell to customers all menu items, which means they have to know how things are prepared. Has to be able to handle cash, make change. Be able to clean and sanitize food service equipment. Again, follow safety procedures and operate. These skill sets right here are a lot easier than some other skill sets. What if we wanted to hire an executive chef? What would that person have to have?
Way more experience.
Yeah, well, a lot of it, we would want some experience, and maybe at least 5 years as, managing a kitchen. What else? How about in-depth recipe knowledge, right? Maybe graduation from Johnson & Wales University, something like that. Those would be called qualifications. In some cases, qualifications, you must be over 18 years of age. Why would you have to be over 18?
Liability.
Maybe you're selling beer inside that concession stand. So if you have draft beer or bottled beer, you have to be at least 18 to sell it. A lot of times in some locations, if you have mixers, slicers, it requires a certain age level before you can actually work in that area. So you have to be at least 18 to operate, say, a blender or a mixer or a slicer. Ability to take directions and learn the work, adept at cash handling, speak and understand English, pleasant personality and appearance. We could change this, okay? It could be speak and understand language of that particular nation. So for example, if I went to Russia and I wanted to work as a theater manager, I'd have difficulty. My Russian's very weak, okay? You know, if I went to Buenos Aires, they speak Spanish. I better learn how to speak Spanish. This is just another chart that kind of outlines the same piece. Again, this is in the book. You can see it. Stand manager, they would have, different responsibilities. They were going to report directly to the area supervisor. So in each stadium, for example, you would typically break the stadium down into specific areas. You might have the north end zone, the south end zone, the east side, the west side, upper east, upper west, upper north, and you would have one person responsible for all those concession areas in that area. You might have somebody in charge of restaurants, you might have somebody in charge of skyboxes, you might have somebody in charge of catering. But everybody would report to, an area supervisor. But again, it's pretty simple if you see on the screen. And again, I think this is in the book. Am I correct? Responsibilities again, set at the stand, service to customers, sanitation, training and supervision of all stand personnel. So this person here, one of their responsibilities is to be able to teach and train. So they're going to have some experience. Duties again, prepare stand sheets for inventory. I told you that every one of the outlets that we use in this channel of business, we count everything before we start, we count everything when we end. So for example, these little cups right here that we have, we started with 50. At the end of the night, we got 40. How much money should I have? I started with
$12 a cup.
$120. Very good. You guys are getting the hang of it. So there are 10 missing. They're $12 a piece. I should have $120, right? What if I only have 108? Kevin,
It's not good.
did you give one to your friends?
No. Definitely.
Do you have $12 in your pocket?
No, I have no cash.
Okay. Typical student. Okay. So you have to do inventory in this business on a regular basis, so the stand manager has to do that. Now, would it be possible for a stand manager to take one of their supervisors in the stand or assistant stand manager and let them do inventory? Would that be possible? Okay. You think no? I like that. The fact that you responded. So tell me why no.
Because it's part of his responsibility, so shouldn't he be the one directly in charge of it?
Yes. Okay. But could he
But
assign
even
it
if
to
he
someone
delegates
else?
it to someone,
Could he assign it to someone else or she?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. But who's ultimately responsible?
Right, the-
Right. And in this particular case, lack of inventory, lack of cash, and not matching those two typically would be cause for discipline or termination. So when these kinds of responsibilities rise up, you want to be sure you're doing that. We typically ask in our venues that we have one person count the inventory, another person counts the cash. Why? We want the two to balance, right? And if I count the cash and I say I've got $120, and I count the inventory and I say there are 11 of those cups missing, what if I just said, okay, there are only 10 cups missing? Now they merge, right? They match. Okay, so what you typically would do is you'd have one person count the inventory, another person count the cash. All right, supervises and assists workers, etc., etc., etc. Qualifications, they have to have leadership ability. They have to speak and understand the language. Pleasant personality and appearance. This particular person is going to be a model for everyone else. What's the most important tool for a manager working with staff? Yeah. So each one of you have jobs, right? I think we've all discussed that. Everybody has a job, right? Do you have a job description?
Not a hard copy. Well, yeah, actually, I do.
You do?
It doesn't look like this, but it tells me, like, I have to be able to stand on my feet for a period of time. I
Good.
have to, be able to walk fast and, just little stuff.
Do you have a
like
job
that.
description, Karen?
There is like the employee handbook as far as like when you're first hired, but, a better,
That's not a job description, that's corporate policies.
right, at the end of the night, we all have side work. And
Okay.
there's a side work sheet and that has like what you
That's,
have
that's
to
not a
have.
job description.
Not a job description, I'm sorry, that's
Okay. You have a job description where you work?
Not anything past, like she said, the
Yeah.
handbook, that basically just lays out your
They
duties.
give you a job description?
Yeah, it says that I have to be able to work on my feet, not be able to sit down, be able to handle cash on site. I'm all in one, so I'm a hostess, a bartender, everything, be able to make drinks, be able to seat people, answer the phone accordingly, be able to do it all at once.
You have a job description?
Yeah.
I'm asking because to me it really doesn't matter, but you see how important it is, so that if you get out in the workforce and you get to be general manager of XYZ Hotel, it might be something that you assign your human resource manager, okay? We want job descriptions for each person. Does that make sense? You're going to see here in a little bit, in Malco Theaters, for example, we've got two different handbooks, okay? Got a handbook right here, on the very last page, you sign it, you turn it in, and it basically says you read and understand all the corporate rules and policies. Make sense? What the uniform looks like, I'm not going to bring guns to work, I can't work under the influence of alcohol, if I steal, I'm going to get fired, all of those kinds of things. Standards of conduct. This right here is an orientation guide. So if you come to work, you have to go to orientation on a Thursday night before you start. Every Thursday night, it's very decent. Sometimes we do it more. And in here, it basically gives you the history of the company. And it tells you some facts about what we expect from you. And some things to do in case there's a robbery or those kinds of things. So we get you sort of prepared before you come to work. These two are not the same, but they do work together. Neither one of these is a job description. Excuse me. All right. where was I? Some facilities use volunteers. Are you familiar with that? Any of you volunteer and work at the stadium and the arena or the zoo or anything? Okay. So to manage labor at a reasonable cost, some facilities such as Liberty Bowl, will use volunteer groups like Memphis Elite Cheerleading Parents, Bartlett Band Boosters, Knights of Columbus. These are people that actually go in and they work in the concession stands, okay? And then they're paid a commission, say 10% of whatever their sales are. And because they rotate all the time, every week there's somebody else. Have you heard any of this?
Mhm.
Does this sound familiar?
My friend Hannah's, her mom's boyfriend, like, I don't know what he was, but he owns like one of the concessions in the Liberty Bowl or something, or not one of them, but something like that. So she used to go and do it every summer.
Yeah, yeah. And so what happens is because you have so many transient employees, this happens to be the CFL, the Calgary Flames. Every volunteer is given one of these before they come into the gate, and they're supposed to read it. It tells them where they're allowed to park, what to do with personal belongings, start times, what the uniform is supposed to be, alcohol policies, meals, and so forth and so on. So they have what I'll say just portable or temporary kind of job descriptions. Get people to understand what they're supposed to do while they're on the facility. All right, so we've talked about planning, right? What are the 5 M's?
Manpower, money,
Materials,
materials,
methods,
methods,
machines.
machines.
Good, very good. Is it going to be on the test?
Yes.
Okay. Then we talked about organization. What did we say about organization?
Organization,
The structure of the plan.
Is that going to be on the test?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's on a quiz, are you going to get that answer right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. What's your homework for next week?
Maybe
Create an
a
organization
structural
chart.
Thank you. All right. So we've gone over the P a little bit, we've gone over the O a little bit, now we're going to do A. A, action. There are 3 parts, right? The first thing is staffing. The next piece is leading, and then we're going to control. Now, controlling is actually the opposite of the plan. You cannot control anything if you don't have a plan. If I want to run a 21% food cost, that's a plan, right? I'm going to organize everything such that I'm going to know what my recipe costs are. I know what I'm going to be charging. I'm going to know the net sales. Okay, that's the organizational part. But then I have to control the inventory. So controlling is opposite of the plan, but it fits into the action. Okay, it's not working. Let's go. There we go. So staffing is the first piece. Let's talk about the personnel cycle. And again, this is in the book. Computer's working slow. All right, the cycle looks like this. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to recruit the very best employees. Well, how do I recruit the very best employees? How do you recruit?
Based on the description, how many people align with that?
Say that
So what
again.
you- The qualities that the job description is requiring.
Exactly.
And you're looking for, you
Right.
match them.
So when should you recruit? Should you start recruiting after you're short 2 employees?
No, you should be out of the game always.
That's right. As a matter of fact, I do that on a regular basis. And Ashik has heard me say this. If I see somebody at a Starbucks and they're outstanding, I give them my business card. And I say, if you ever get tired of working at Starbucks and you need a job, call me, because I can put you to work. So if you're going to be a manager going forward, keep that in mind right now. You want to pass this out?
Yeah.
Thank you. Every employee in your business should know that you're always hiring. You're going to be like the New England Patriots, okay? And you're going to win every game because you're going to have the very best team possible. And not just one year, but every year. So recruiting is something that takes place all the time. Interviewing is the second step. And you have to ask the right kind of questions. What kind of questions would you want to ask?
Relevant.
Relevant questions. Let me pass these out. Thank you. Relevant questions. What do you mean by relevant questions?
Like questions that pertain to the job or that pertain to certain personality traits that you're looking for or that are required?
All of those are good responses. You want to ask questions that require a response. Kevin, can you be to work on time? Okay, he said, uh-huh. I guess that's a yes.
Yes.
Okay. If he wants the job, would he say no? I'm hiring somebody for the zoo. Do you like animals?
Yes.
I'm looking for somebody to work at a pool, okay? Do you like being outdoors? So far, I don't know anything about any of you. You want the job, you're gonna tell me. Here's a great question. I love this one. I should go back this way. What's your favorite beer?
Ananda.
Ananda.
I want to
What'd that just tell me?
She likes IPAs.
Local.
What else?
Local.
She drinks beer because she had to think about it for a second. What if she said,
She likes IPAs.
what if she said, I don't drink beer? What would that tell me?
Or Bud Light.
Yeah, she
Same answer, right?
doesn't like beer.
So I don't have to worry about alcohol problems with this person,
Right.
typically, okay? What you might get is, I don't drink beer, I like vodka,
Ooh.
okay? What's that tell me?
Red.
Red flag.
That's just a preference, I feel like.
Well, it is, but it changes from 6%, 5% alcohol to 80 proof, okay? 40% alcohol. And so it changes kind of the dynamics. I don't want her drinking and driving. I don't want her drinking on the job, okay? Here's one. Carolyn, what kind of car do you drive? A Chevy Equinox. What's that tell me?
She has a car, she has a way to get to work.
Exactly. He has transportation. Yeah. So, Carolyn, do you have transportation?
Yes.
I don't know if she has a car or not. She wants a job. She's gonna say yes.
My boyfriend don't drop me off.
Here's one. Describe a typical Saturday for yourself. What do you do on Saturdays?
Sleep in, wake up, maybe do something with my dog, and then probably go to work.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for, but that's. the
Well, no,
truth.
if you wanted a job, what I'm asking is, I'm trying to figure out, so if she said, I typically go to the Pickwick and spend the weekend with my family.
Unavailable on weekends.
Unavailable to work on weekends. Exactly. She said I sleep in. What that told me is that she's probably,
Not gonna work in the morning.
she's not a morning person. Probably, I'm just gonna guess, okay?
Okay.
Typically likes to hang out late on Friday nights. Now, it could be because she works. Because she
Yeah.
said, I work Saturday nights, so probably maybe she's working, okay? I could ask you, what's a typical Sunday like for you?
Well, I work on Sundays.
You work on Sundays.
Yeah, so.
So that was a different kind of response.
I don't work on Sundays.
Yeah, okay. So what's a typical Sunday like for you? Look
The
it
reason
up.
I don't work is because we're closed.
Yeah.
But, probably watch football against my will.
Yeah. So that just told me something. What did it tell me?
She doesn't like football.
She doesn't like football. What did it tell me?
She typically doesn't work on Sundays.
She doesn't work on Sundays. She said, against my will. What did that tell me?
She has a boyfriend.
She has a boyfriend
Yeah.
or significant other. Somebody that's making her, or dad, yeah, her brother. Yeah. Okay. Or somebody is making her watch football against her will, but it's probably a boyfriend. All right. Here's one. Kevin, tell me, how would you sell ice to an Eskimo?
Well, it's a sales question.
No, dude.
He just didn't get the job. Why did he not get the job?
Didn't even try.
Didn't even try. What I'm trying to do is just to get him to talk and show me how creative he can be. Okay? So, in the interview, I gave you a set of questions here. You might want to keep these, because if you get in a leadership position 3, 4, 5 years from now, These are great questions to ask people so you can figure out a little bit about their personalities without asking them, how old are you? So, how can I find out without, it's illegal to ask you your age on a job interview. Do you know that? They're not allowed to ask you what your,
Is it your birthday on the application?
it is.
Okay.
But you cannot fill it out.
You cannot ask if you're married, you cannot ask what your age is. There's a number of questions that you're not allowed to go through. But in this particular case, I could say, do you have your tips card? What's that tell me?
She's tip certified.
She's
That
tip
you're
certified, what does that tell
older than
me?
18.
She's older
She's older than 18, what's it tell me?
She's able to serve alcohol.
She's able to serve alcohol. That might be important in a restaurant or a bar.
You can ask.
So I can't say, are you 18, are you 21?
Even if you're over the, isn't it, if you're 21, can you serve alcohol without an illicit license?
Not in
It's like if you're a
Not-
server.
Tennessee.
Not in the
In
state of
Arkansas, you
Tennessee.
can,
Yes, in Arkansas you can, that's
And
correct.
because
Mississippi.
there's more dry counties than there are not.
I don't know the reasoning, I just know that you're correct. In Arkansas, you don't have to have a tips card. In Tennessee, you do have to have a tips card. You have to be 18 to sell, you have to be 21 to buy, which I've never understood. I can sell it to you, but I can't drink it.
Same
So
cigarettes.
what's this beer taste like?
Well, no.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Ask
that's the
Jessica.
biggest question.
Yeah.
Smoking age, right? To 19, from 18 in
No, it's
Tennessee?
still, I think it's still,
I think it was, like,
All right.
just passed it.
Hiring. If we go through the hiring process, it's typically all administrative. What you've done here is you've been out recruiting, you found a series, a pool of people. Remember, you want a pool of people. You've interviewed the pool. You might even have 2 or 3 people interview. So I may interview you and have one perspective of what you're like.
What
in
is
your
the point of that? Having
multiple
with
interviews?
multiple interviews, but they ask you the same questions.
That's not very smart, actually, in my opinion. So you've done that.
Well, I'm in the process of hopefully getting an internship in Dallas, and I interviewed with someone over the phone, then I interviewed with another person over the phone, and then yesterday I interviewed with the VP over the phone, and I'm like, when is this gonna end?
Yeah. Yeah, so what is the,
What is the point?
well, I was going to ask you what the job is.
Oh, it doesn't have anything to do with hospitality. It's a sales internship for a trucking company,
Okay.
like a logistics company.
Okay. Typically, you have 2 or 3 interviews with different people, so because we all have a different perception of how people present themselves. Okay, so I might see you young, energetic, like Nike, so you're probably athletic, but you don't like football. If he interviews you, he might say analytical, said she didn't want a snow cone, but she got one anyway. You see where I'm going with this? So, and then we would get together and say, okay, here's what she's got. Okay, if she's going to be in sales, she's got a good personality, good appearance, and then he would say, yeah, but not sure she's always going to tell the truth. Her sales numbers may be skewed. Make sense?
Yeah.
So, what you said is they all ask you the same question, which I find weird. Which, that's robotic. Sounds to me like,
I don't give the same answer because I know they're probably going to ask me the same question, so I have time to think of a better answer normally. But
okay. So in this particular case, if they're asking the same question, they're going to get a read on whether or not your answers are legitimate. So for example, there are some personality tests out there, and when you apply for jobs, you're going to take these tests to see if your personality fits the job that they want you to take. And everybody's trying to give the right answer because you want the job. And how do you tell if the questions are, you're answering those questions honestly or not? So maybe one of the questions is, describe your personality. And then the answers would be something like, happy and vivacious. I'm loquacious. I'm sad most of the time. I get angry easily. Which one would you put?
not the last ones. Probably whatever they're looking for, that's what you would
See,
say.
you're lying. I want you to tell me the truth. What's your personality?
But what if your personality lines up with what they're asking? That's what I'm saying.
Well, it could be,
Right.
Okay, here's my point I'm getting to, is there are certain questions on those exams which I call God questions. So for example, have you ever taken money out of your mother's purse as a child?
Yeah. But I always put it back.
You answer the question accurately, because everybody in the world has at one point or another taken money out of their mom's purse, okay? So now it adds validity to the answers to all the other questions. That make sense? Have you ever wished you looked like someone else?
Have we been told if we look like somebody?
No.
With-
Have you ever wished I looked like somebody else? For example, I wish I looked like Robert Redford. I wish I looked like. Yeah. Okay? That's what I call a God question. All right? Because we all, at one point in our life, wish we had a different appearance. If you say, no, I really like who I am and I look great.
But what,
You-
if,
so-
but what if there are people out there that really do feel that way?
There are,
Really are
okay.
people that are like, no, I'm great.
Okay, let's go back to the rose question. What? Remember rose color? Okay? You were purple. We missed this last week, but we said that 80 to 85% of all people think the same, right? And researchers and psychologists have figured out that there are certain questions they can ask that we all have violated at one point, or followed suit. So, reminds me of a funny story. We got time? We're almost done. I'm going to wrap this up here in just a second. So my daughter was, she was a sophomore, freshman. She was a freshman at St. Benedict High School. And there was a young man that wanted to take her to the senior prom. And so I'm not sure that she'd been on a date yet or not. But my wife and I said, okay, you can go to the prom. We need to meet the young man first. So, okay, so we set up this appointment and he came out to the house. Huh?
An appointment.
That's how you phrase that. It's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, well, so we made a meeting, all right? And so on his way to our house, at the time we lived at Woodland Hills, so it's kind of hard to find your way out there. He's texting Taylor on the phone. And one rule my wife has is you do not text and drive. You do not text and drive. So she's like, Taylor, who's texting? But anyway, it was a boy. And she said, Taylor, I don't want you driving with anybody if they're going to be texting while they drive. She said, I know, Mama. He's lost. He's trying to find me. He comes in. He's a very nice young man. Okay? Very well groomed, very polite, very respectful. And my wife is having a wonderful conversation with him. And I'm sitting there, and so I'm going to just kind of feel him out a little bit. And my wife is stressed on a number of occasions. One, no texting while you drive, okay? And no alcohol. I don't care what happens, no alcohol. And then she tells him, she says, if you drink, okay, I don't care what happens, you call me, I'll come get you. But you do not get in a car with alcohol and drive the most important person in my life. Okay? So they're having a conversation. So I looked at him and I said, gosh, I said, you told us you don't text and drive, right? He said, yeah. I said, good, that's a good thing. I said, have you ever taken money out of your mom's purse? And he said, well, yes, sir, Mr. Ayer, I have. And I said, so now what you're telling us is you're not only a thief, but you're a liar. That didn't go over so good. I was trying to be funny. My daughter was so embarrassed. So anyway, does your dad do anything like that to you? No?
My nieces, this sounds so horrible, but my cousin's dad, she brought home somebody
Someone's at
the
that
other
door
night.
again.
She's like 14. And so she's like
Hey,
talking to a
someone,
new
Dr.
boy.
Heidkerthy's trying to get in that door. Sorry.
Maybe this is
Talking
looking
to a
in.
new guy, whatever, brings him home to meet the parents, and my uncle literally told him, if you hurt my daughter, I will kill you. Like, really. And if y'all need a picture, you know, my uncle, but he's just an insane.
All right, so after we've hired people, we're going to do a training exercise, and we're going to use the method part of our planning, okay? We're going to supervise, do the evaluation, and then termination is actually the opposite of hiring. So we're going to get back our keys, our uniform, Any tools, for example, if you work in a kitchen, sometimes they supply you with knives and forks. What's happened?
The lens fell out of her glasses.
Oh, okay.
Strictly.
I was hoping you weren't having a stroke or something. Gosh.
Yeah.
Good, okay. So, what is termination?
Whenever you take back
The opposite of?
Hire.
Hire.
hiring, right, you're
Yeah.
getting rid of someone.
Right. All right, I got 5 minutes. I'm going to pass out this. It's also in the book, but I realize you guys don't have your books yet.
It's
It's
here today.
a training matrix. And training can take place in seconds, minutes, hours, days. So too many times I think people think that training is such a complicated, difficult thing. It has to be orchestrated and has a lot of crazy things. In this particular case, the matrix basically has objective. What are we trying to do? What's the goal of this training mechanism? Who needs to be trained in this area? The people. How long is this going to take? What procedure are we going to use? And then finally, what's the evaluation? So I don't know about you and your jobs, but training could take place every night with a briefing. We've done training twice. Did we do training today? How long did it take? Yeah, 10 to 15 minutes. We learned how to make snow cones, right? What I didn't do is I didn't show you how to take inventory, which is important. I didn't show you how to clean up afterwards. So there are a number of other things that we should do when we get finished. But for the sake of time, we didn't do that. Let's try this, okay? I'm going to give you a simple training example, and it's not going to take more than 3 minutes. You ready? Okay. If you come to work from Alco Theaters and you're working as a cashier at the concession stand, we want you to have a scripted welcome. You ready? Hi, welcome to Malco Theaters. Would you like to try our #1 combo? We have free refills on both soda and popcorn. You ready?
Oh my God. Hi, am I supposed to repeat it?
Uh-huh.
Hi, welcome to Malco Theaters. Would you like to try our #1 combo? It's a free refill popcorn.
Good.
Hello, welcome to Malco Theaters. Would you like to try our #1 combo and a free refill of drink and popcorn?
Pretty close.
Hi, welcome to Malcolm Theaters. Would you like to try our #1 combo? It comes with a big refill of your drink and popcorn.
Good.
Hi, welcome to Malco Theaters. Would you like to try our #1 combo? Comes with a free refill and free popcorn refill.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Malcolm Theaters. Would you like to try our #1 combo? It comes with free refills on drinks and popcorn.
Marley?
Hi, welcome to Malco Theaters. Would you like to try our #1 combo that comes with a refill on soda and popcorn?
Sharon?
Welcome to Malco Theater. I'm sorry. I can't remember.
It's okay.
Is
Hi, welcome to Malco Theaters. Would you like to try our #1 combo? In other words, we're going to suggest to sell, okay? And then we're going to tell them why it's a good value. You get free refills on popcorn and soda. So let's try it again. Hi,
Hi, welcome
to Malco Theaters.
Malco Theaters. Would you like to have a combo which is popcorn and ice
Drink?
drink?
Yeah, very good. So we're gonna forgive her a little bit because she has language barrier. So we're gonna work with her a little bit more, okay? But if I went back right now and started again, what's the greeting that we should use at Malco Theaters?
What, like my opinion or
No,
like?
we just did
Do
this.
you want me to do it again?
Yeah, so what we're doing now is we're gonna evaluate whether or not you've got this done. So if you look at this matrix, the objective was to teach each one of you a welcome scripted greeting, okay? Who are the people? Everyone in the class has practiced this, right? How long did it take? Less than 3 minutes, okay? What was the procedure?
You said
I
one
gave
day
it to you the first time,
You had to say
you
that.
repeated it back to me, okay? And then now I gotta evaluate. So now that's what I did. Since you were the first one, you had the most difficult task. Because every time someone said it, these people in the back got to hear it again.
think I did pretty good for being.
I think you did excellent. So now I'm asking you to give me the script.
Hi, welcome to Malco Theaters. Would you like to try our #1 combo? It comes with a free refill on popcorn and a large drink.
Good deal. I didn't say large drink.
Oh, well.
That's okay.
Threw it
But
in
they're
there.
enough. Thank you. All right. What are you going to bring me next week?
Organizational structure.
Good. Thank you.